My name is Carly Rudd with student number 454558982. That's my ID. This recording will be used for the purpose of my education and training only and will be used, viewed and stored per TAFE Queensland's privacy policy, which is available on the TQ website and only accessed by TAFE Queensland staff. Do you provide your consent to be recorded in this activity and for TAFE Queensland to use this recording for education and training purposes?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Tom, good morning. It's nice to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
I'm glad you could come in short notice. So I'm glad I could shuffle some things around for you to bring you in.
Appreciate
because
that, thank you.
It sounds like you need to have a bit of a chat about things that are going on.
Yeah.
But I'll just, as you're aware of all the confidentiality, things like that, and I know you've signed that already prior to coming in, but I'll just remind you about that as well before we move forward. So as you know, everything that we talk about in this space is confidential. There are some times where information that we discuss needs to be shared. That might be if there's a court subpoena, I may need to chat with my supervisor, anything that we discuss, or if there is, I feel there's a risk of harm to yourself or someone else.
Yeah.
So just making you aware of that as well.
Yeah.
I may make some notes while we're chatting as well, so that's okay with you?
For sure.
Yeah. So firstly, tell me what's going on, what's happening?
So remember Jenny?
Yep.
She's been really just struggling with how much pressure's on her to like help look after Pete and stuff like that. Recently I was unable to keep my usual rostered days off just because cost of living and stuff going up, so I now work Saturdays, which used to be the day that I would take Pete and Jenny would have him on a Sunday.
Sure.
And we take turns in just like the care arrangements and stuff like that. So Jenny's been having him for the full time on weekends now. I've had to work extra and I just don't think she's coping well with it. A lot of the times, she's having these outbursts where she'll like throw things and yell and scream and hit close cupboard doors very aggressively and close doors, like stuff like that. And I know she doesn't mean it. It's not like her. I just think she's a bit overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Just with that added responsibility and now that you're back at work on a
just
Saturday.
not as much support from me, and I'm usually in there doing everything I can, and every moment I'm home from work I'm trying to give her respite, but I just think it's that Saturday's really disrupted things for her.
Has that been escalating over time, or?
Yeah, it has been getting worse. Almost like she's always been a little bit touchy.
Yeah, I remember previously when I was looking after Pete. I remember one particular day, I came to the home. I noticed some behaviour that was along those lines.
Yeah, definitely. And something that's I think has been really hard for her as well is she just doesn't really get along with a lot of our family members and stuff. So we're not really seeing family, and I missed out on some of my family members' birthdays and graduation and stuff like that. And I get a lot of flack from the family for that, but I think it's more that they just don't really understand how Jenny works as a person. I know her so well, and that's why it's kind of isolating us maybe a little bit. There was an incident recently where it got pretty bad, and that's kind of what, when you rang the other day to sort of check in, and we were just coming off the back of that, so I was probably sounding a bit stressed on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'd come home on Saturday from being out, and I had known Jenny was not coping well that day. She had been messaging me, and this is the first time this has ever happened. I saw that she had restraint Pete down onto the bed using like cords to like restrain his hands to the bedpost because he'd obviously been having a meltdown or something. Jenny couldn't cope anymore. But I noticed that he had some welts and things on him as well. It was like where he'd been hit.
Okay.
And I spoke to Jenny about it, and we had a big argument about it. She was just saying how she wasn't coping, and she had a meltdown as well, and she threw a plate. It did collide with me. I know she didn't mean it. Like, she wouldn't do that on purpose. She's just overwhelmed. But
Has
yeah.
have objects been thrown in your direction before?
Oh yeah, but only by coincidence.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How was I'm sorry to hear you came home to that. But that would have
Me
been
too.
really distressing for yourself and for Pete.
Yeah.
How is Pete?
I can tell he's not himself
Mm.
since the incident, that he's really shaken by it. And that's appearing in withdrawing as well as more dysregulation than usual for him, which is firing Jenny up even more. So it's really
Escalating.
really touchy at the moment. And I've just noticed that because Jenny's so frustrated with him, she's saying things like, got to take, excuse my language, I don't like saying this, and got to take the spastic out and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
she's not in a good place. I really want to help her.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. That would have been really hard to come home to.
I'm really worried.
And also not knowing how long Pete had been restrained for as well. Was there any explanation around the welts and the other things that you observed on him?
Oh, Jenny, like, I'm starting to question a little bit because, like, I've seen Pete get pretty rowdy
Mm-hmm.
with Jenny, and Jenny has to sort of self-defend a little bit, but this time it looked a bit different, and Jenny went with the usual story of like, she had to sort of get Pete to de-escalate, but I don't feel the welts match up with what she sort of shared with me. So I have a bit of a suspicion that maybe she's,
Okay.
she's lashed out a bit more than maybe she should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Given what you have shared, and in terms of our policies, procedures, and mandatory reporting, we, because of the nature of what has occurred for Pete, I will need to submit a report to.
I didn't realise this was that kind of thing.
Yeah. It will need to be reported to disability services and possibly police as well, just given the high risk activity that is happening and the high risk that Pete is in. And we can support you putting that report together, but
Jenny's going to be mad.
but that is actually a legal requirement that we will need to do, and it is with Pete's safety in mind. I understand your concern for Jenny, and your willingness coming here wanting to find solutions and help her in the situation. But given Jenny is an adult who is has that cognitive ability, and Pete is living with disability and is restricted in many ways there, this is where we need to put Pete's safety as the top priority here.
Oh, okay.
And make sure that he's as safe and protected as possible.
Okay.
But we can work through that, and at the end of this session, you can sit with me and we can work on it together, or I can work on it after you go. But it is something that will need to be done.
Okay. The thing about Jenny is, I feel like she'd probably get pretty angry knowing I've come and said something, and I don't want her to get in trouble either. So just a little bit worried about how the next few days could look if somebody comes to the house to check in, because she'll know that I've said something.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's also the police may, after the notification and the reporting, police do have a position where they can put an order in place, and that's to just put some sort of sanctions down to like guidelines to keep everyone safe in your home.
Yeah.
It will outline behaviours that Jenny needs to abide by.
Okay.
And yourself and Peter could be named on that order as well.
Okay.
That's not something that you need to do. The police might do it as well.
All right.
So that will be their action. What we could also do is work on some safety planning, just having things in place at home to sort of navigate when those challenges arise, to keep everyone, including Jenny, as safe as possible at home. So this is certainly, I know the gravity of what's going on is heavy. We just need to keep in check the priority of keeping Pete as safe and protected as possible. And he's such a beautiful
He's such a
guy.
good kid.
I loved working with him. I shouldn't say it, but he was one of my favourite clients. Don't tell anyone.
No, I won't tell him. He'll let it get to his head.
Yeah, we need to keep that at the forefront, but also not ignoring the. We're still going to acknowledge and help Jenny as much as we can in things that she can work on moving forward, or supports that she needs to receive as well. Because from what you have disclosed, there's many forms of domestic violence happening that I can identify. I know it's predominantly violence towards women from men, but it also can be the reverse. It also can happen to men. So know that you're not alone, and there's plenty of supports around. There's actually, have you ever called Men's Helpline or heard of them?
I've heard about them. I've never called.
So I've got this card here, DV Connect. There's some other numbers on the back as well, but this is the Men's Helpline that you could use in any events that you need to connect with someone as well.
Yeah, right. I might give them a call. I never had somebody really call it domestic violence before. I didn't really think that it really happened.
Yeah,
to
the
men.
Men's Helpline is great, and there are definitely men out there that are experiencing domestic violence, domestic family violence. So support is there, as well as the support here for you. I've also got this book that outlines different forms of domestic violence, what a healthy relationship looks like. There's also resources and supports in there that Jenny may in time might be useful for her to connect to, but I can leave that with you as well, just to read in your own time.
Thank you. Probably take it to work and read it in the car from work.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So is anyone else sort of visiting the home at the moment?
Yeah, we do have a support worker that comes and checks in on weekdays.
Okay.
It's just the weekend where I think there's a bit of a gap there.
Yeah. How much time is Jenny spending with Peter?
About most of Saturday, I'd say a good 8 to 9 hours on Saturday.
Right.
And then just a small
And
block
that's
of,
the extra.
That's the extra, yeah. And
okay.
a small block of time in the afternoon on some weekdays when she gets home first. But the support worker's there up until she's home. You know what, we just did some training at work recently where we've been told we have DV leave for everyone.
Yes.
So I might, if you think this is DV, and this is something that can be supported, I might talk to my boss about maybe accessing some of that leave just for a little while.
Yeah, that sounds
so I can be
like
home
a great
little bit
plan.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also just a couple of other options that you could consider, and we can revisit. We do provide at Karma Community Care long-term respite as well, or short-term respite. So that might be some options for Pete to come and spend some time in our accommodation, and just to give everyone a bit of respite, really, because when there's sort of behaviours like this, it ripples out throughout the whole family. So I can definitely identify that's happening for you. So
that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Not that Pete should have to go, but just maybe to get Jenny some support. Yeah.
We've got great workers on site. We've got some beautiful clients. I have no doubt Pete will connect really well to, and just give him a bit of independence, which I know he loves. He loves having his own time. So that's just an option. The other option might be that things keep escalating, and given the severity that they are at, the high risk, Jenny may need to leave the home.
Okay.
Just for you to be aware of.
Yep.
So just keep those in mind. But we can plan another meeting next week and give you some time to look over that. Maybe see if you can ring the men's helpline, just have a casual chat.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I think I'll spend some time thinking about everything you said, look at these resources, and then we get together again and do a bit of planning.
Do some safety planning, and I'll have to do this reporting. You're welcome to sit with me while we do that. If you like to just be involved in that and just see what it looks like. Otherwise, I can handle that as well.
Yeah. Maybe if I had a coffee break and then we get together and do the report.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. It was great to see you again.
Thank you so much for seeing me last
Say
minute.
hi to Pete for me.
I will.
Okay, bye.